Welcome back, me nerd familia, to another episode of Gamesymaspod, the podcast where we're talking about all things board games, video games, and pop culture. On today's episode, we're doing another segment of Yard Sale, or Top Shelf, or Yard Sale, where we dive into board games and we discuss to see if these games are worthy to be on your top shelf, to show everyone your glory and splendor, or to be found in your neighbor's weekly yard sale down the street. You know, that's not a good spot to find a board game there. So today we're going to be talking about Spirit Island, fun game that for me personally is climbing the ranks of favorite board games I love playing. We're joined here by Erik. Erik, thank you so much for joining us here. You are my Spirit Island expert when it comes to these board games. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And I'm excited to dive deep into this game and figure out if it's a yard sale game or a top shelf game. And so I'm excited here. We're going to dive into it. And guys, if you guys want to give us any recommendations or reach us, you can find us on all social medias. We're on X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, where you can find us at Gamesymaspod. That's at Gamesymaspod. Or you can email us at gamesymaspod@gmail.com, gamesymaspod@gmail.com. So without all that being said, we'll go ahead and dive deep into this podcast. And so guys, pull up a chair, grab some dice, y acompáñame a jugar. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ready? So, here at the podcast, we do icebreaker questions.
Okay,
If you're
all right.
familiar with these, we have two questions that we like to ask to kind of get to know more about our guests. So you can break the ice a little bit and then get into the questions. So the first question here, Erik, is what is your favorite board game of all time? And again, for the viewers listening out there, board games, I'm including dice games, tabletop games,
Sure, yeah.
party games, any of those type of games. I'll include any of that. And then the second question is, what is your favorite video game of all time?
Okay.
It can be, again, console, PC, even arcade games, you know, Street Fighters or DDR, if you like to know that stuff. So with that, we'll give you a quick second here. If you got it, I feel like you got your board game one.
Sure,
down.
yeah, that one's easy.
Yeah.
It's the game we're talking about today.
Oh, is it? Okay.
So my favorite board game of all time is Spirit Island.
Spirit Island, okay.
Without a doubt.
Nice.
It's always one I always go back to. I have board games for like different moods and different feelings, and Spirit Island is just one I keep on playing.
It's a good one.
When I have the time, I set up, and it's always fun. Always delivers. So
Okay,
I enjoy
nice.
that,
Okay, Spirit Island, nice. And with all the expansion stuff, I can tell. I can tell it's your favorite game.
Yeah, I have it all deluxeified, right?
Yes,
I have
exactly.
The
There you go.
deluxe tokens.
You can
and
tell
the
when the-
expansions.
yeah.
It's fun.
Exactly.
It's fun.
For me, it was Betrayal, and I have all the expansions and
Yeah.
everything. I probably will buy more if they come out with more. stuff and stuff
Definitely,
like that.
definitely.
So, okay, Spirit Island. Okay.
Sure.
And do we got a favorite video game for you?
That's a little harder.
Might be a little bit tougher one.
I think I do. I play more board games now than video games.
Right.
I like to, I work on a computer a lot, so I like to kind of disconnect a little
Right.
bit from the screen.
Okay.
But I used to play a lot of board games. So there are some video games. So there's a nostalgia factor to it.
Okay.
I think my favorite video game of all time would be Age of Empires 2.
Age of Empires 2?
Yeah.
Okay,
Have you played it?
I love that one. I love playing that one. I'm more of I like 3. I like 3 because it introduced naval combat.
Okay.
And I really like the naval combat, but 2 is a fun one. I've had a lot of memories playing 2.
I think 2 hit at the right time. I was in high school at the time.
Okay,
So
okay.
and I had my computer. So
Nice.
that's the game I would play. I
That's
think
a
I
fun one.
learned more history from that game
Really?
than some of my history
Actually,
classes.
your classes? Yeah.
Playing through the campaigns, and then of course,
You're like, so this is how England did.
putting in the cheats when you got stuck. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like, all right. Let me add some more resources.
Yeah.
Let
I
me
think
up
that's-
my cap of
Yeah.
army cap so I can bring a little more.
I've played Age of Empires 2 more recently too. Kind of nostalgia getting back to it because they came with the definitive edition, like an HD
okay.
remaster of
Right,
the game.
right,
So it's like available. It's on
Oh,
Steam.
nice.
And I think there's a competitive scene too, which I'm not part of.
Yeah.
I can't.
I'm a
Definitely
casual.
can't
I'm a
play it.
casual.
Yeah. But it's,
Like playing casual. Okay, nice.
It's pretty cool. Like there's a whole community behind it. that
Okay,
built it up.
cool. Yeah, so Age of Empires 2. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have it. Here, Erik's favorite board game, Spirit Island, which we're oddly enough going to be talking about.
Yeah.
And Age of Empires. Age of Empires 2. Fun one. Good RTS game. Well, a classic RTS game to play. I love playing that one. And so, yeah, good choices. Good
All right,
choices for that one.
thanks.
But let's get deep into this podcast. Let's talk
Sure.
about Spirit Island. Yes. Is
Yeah.
this game a top shelf game or is it a yard sale game? I know personally for you, definitely top shelf.
Yeah.
For me, it's ranking up there on the top shelf games, but we'll try to be fair with these questions. Again, these questions are all subjective to our thoughts, but we're trying to, approach these questions with the lens of like we're first time board gamers trying to get into this hobby.
Okay.
So we're trying to be fair with it. As much as it pains me, I mean, when I did for you guys that are listening that watched the betrayal one, there were questions where I had to give it no, where I'm like, no, this is a yes, but like I have to give it a no for sure. And
I'll try to check my bias.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
hard, but we got this. For you guys listening and watching, thank you guys so much for watching as well. Spirit Island is a cooperative game. It's not asymmetrical because we kind of all have the same kind of moves, kind of. Depending on your spirit, it could be kind of...
Every spirit has asymmetric. Like it's built
yes.
asymmetrically, right? So each spirit's going to play a little
Right,
differently, right?
right, exactly. But
we have a common goal.
Right, exactly. Common goal is we are spirits of this island, and our inhabitants, our worshippers, I guess, are the Dahan, have been striving peacefully here in this land. When all of a sudden tragedy strikes and we have invaders coming from different lands trying to take over our resources, trying to take over our lands, and we as spirits are trying to fight back and push back these invaders. And it's not easy because these guys are relentless. These invaders are very relentless. They want to build, they want to farm our resources, they want to kick our inhabitants out. And that does not make us very happy as spirits. No. And so we must enact our vengeance upon these people and stuff. And so it's a fun game up to 5, 6 players, do you remember?
Base game is up to 4 players.
4 players, okay.
I think you can go up to 5 or 6 now.
5, 6 players,
with some
okay.
of the expansions.
So one to 6 players does have a solo mode, which I've tried, and it's very hard. It's very hard to play. It's better to play when you have friends.
Yeah.
It's a fun game to play. Up there a little bit on the complexity level, which we'll get into with the questions here. But yeah, basically the goal of the game is we are trying to stop these invaders from taking over our land. And there's multiple ways we win. We're destroying cities, destroying villages, enacting enough fear to drive these people away. They're so scared of this island that they're deeming this island uninhabitable. And which we did on our playthrough. Yeah. We won that one. That was a fun one to play. And I really enjoyed my spirit. Multiple spirits that you can choose from, especially if you're adding the expansions that you like you had. So like I feel like it takes me like 10, 15 minutes just to go through all your spirits, just to go through, just to see which
to pick who you want to play.
Who I want to pick, because
start.
there's so many you can choose from. So much replayability. It's fun. And yeah, you go through these actions. You work together with your friends to fight off these spirits. And again, it's not an easy game. It's pretty hard. It's kind of pandemic-esque on the difficulty, and you can even up the scale of difficulty, as you were telling me, with events and adding scenarios and adding adversaries and so that nature. But the spirits are fun. They range from mild to complexity, and it's a game where, again, you're working together, you're building synergy with your cards to make sure your spirits are. You're utilizing the maximum you can with these spirits to drive off these invaders. Fun game to play. They even have a beginner version called Spirit Island Horizons, correct?
Horizons of Spirit Island. Yep.
Okay.
That's the kind of the newest introductory version of the game.
You can find that one at Target. And,
So Amazon, any big box.
And so that's a fun one. That's a cool. I like the spirits that were added onto that one. That was pretty cool and stuff. Go to your local board game and store and check out that game. If there's people that play that game, get with your friends that own that game and just give it a round or two. It's a fun one to play. You can dive deep into that one as well.
Yeah, if we're talking about Horizons of Spirit Island, it's a great way to get into Spirit Island, just because the core mechanics of the game are exactly the same. Like if you learn to play it on Horizons, then you can play the game like with any of the expansions, right?
All right.
It just it teaches you how the invaders play. It teaches you kind of how to do your turn, like you draw your growth phase, and then you're getting your powers, and then playing your powers, and then fast and slow powers as well. Like that whole mechanics, the mechanics of the game teaches you all that stuff, especially with some spirits that are fun. That have strong power levels too. If you want to take them into the lot harder difficulties, they still work.
Does it dumb down any certain aspects of the actual base game, or does it kind of play the same way?
No, I think it was a very good implementation, right? It's not trying to dumb it down, right? You're going to play the game of Spirit. It is the same game. It's just giving you a little bit less of variety than you would get if you're getting the full first version of the game.
And you said the Horizons has it's a board, right, instead of actual tiles.
Yeah. So if you buy Spirit Island, which is the box we have right there, right, it'll come with a modular board, right, and plastic tokens and like plastic components. Horizons Spirit Island, which is not this one, it's a smaller one. It in order to make it more affordable, like they don't have the modular board. You just have one set board.
One set board,
right? And then some of the invader tokens are just instead of plastic pieces, little cardboard token pieces.
Okay.
So they change those aspects of the game to keep the cost down, to make it more introductory. But the actual gameplay is exactly the same.
Okay, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So there you have it. If you want to check out a bit of an introductory level of the game, Horizons of Spirit Island is a great way to play. Again, it's a fun game. I enjoy playing it.
Yeah.
I love diving deep into the lore of it too, because it's lore rich in this game. You kind of build the map as you start off. You build the map. You have your lands, and you're just waves after waves, just fighting off invaders, figuring out what's going to happen next. Are they building? Where they're building? Where they're ravaging? Where they're exploring? And there's a lot of complexity of that in that board game, which is fun because it keeps you on your toes, keeps you engaged, trying to figure things out of that nature. And it's a fun game. I recommend it. Check it out. It's Erik's favorite board game.
Yeah.
So you have his stamp of approval on that game. It's a fun one to play.
There's one aspect of the game that I don't think you've touched base on it yet, but the spirits are working cooperatively, but then the board is where we're manifesting our presence, right? So part of the game too is deciding where you're going to expand your presence, where you can actually act in the board, because the invaders are going to spread everywhere, and we're going to try to go to those spots where they're spreading to, and taking resources from the land and try to slow them down, defeat them, or scare them off. But it's not like you would do in a card game or some other games where you can I decide to attack, right? You actually have to slowly work your presence out there. You got to send out your tokens.
Very, very strategic.
And then,
you got to really think about what your turn is. And you have cards that you're playing that are your abilities, and there's two types of cards when you're playing. You have your fast acting cards that you're going in fast acting now, and then you have slow acting cards where you have to wait a turn. You have to wait the invaders' turns to do their things, and then you got to do. So it's kind of like cause and effect. You figure out, trying to anticipate what's going to happen, to figure out what's going on, trying to control the board. So it's very strategic. I agree. It's if you're heavy into those strategic kind of games, it's a fun one to play. That you'll enjoy playing that one. There's a little bit of the history of that one on Spirit Island. Do you know who is this made by?
It's the designer, or the publisher is Greater Than Games.
Greater Than Games.
And the designer is Erik Roos.
Erik Roos. Erik, huh?
Yeah.
Erik Roos and what was it, Designer Games, you said? Or
it's Greater Than Games.
Greater Than Games created this game, Spirit Island, and its many expansions. Yeah. I think they're coming out with another one. You said one more?
Yeah, it's I think the game came out in 2017 initially, the first one, right? And they're still in development, right?
Really?
The most recent expansion came out 2 years ago, as of recording, so that would be 2022.
Yeah.
Okay. They're in development on another expansion, which I believe, don't quote me on this, it would be the last one finally, and then they'll end production of the game, or end design of the game. But it's a lot of game to play, even with what's already released.
Nice. So you have multiple ways to add on to the game, to add aspect to the game, to change the dynamic of the game as well.
Yeah, so each expansion, like each of the big box expansions, adds many more spirits.
Yeah.
And then also adds a few more mechanics, right? And you can pick and choose when you're playing what you want to add. Like you just change the cards, change what spirit you're playing with, change the type of cards and events you have. So every single time you play, it's going to be a totally different experience.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I like that. I like the variety, especially the number of spirits you can be. Oh my god, it's like a fat stack of spirits you got to go through to choose who you want to. And I like how you break it down sometimes, where you just if it's your first time playing, here's the beginner ones that you might want to play, because some of these other ones can get pretty complex with things that they do and the way they play out, and sometimes you're gonna have to sacrifice some things or wait some turns to be able to do these big moves. And so for a beginner board gamer, you're going to be this is too hard. I don't understand.
Yeah, there is a bit of a learning curve, right?
For sure.
So the first time you're playing, go with an easy spirit. It doesn't mean the easy spirit's not going to be strong, right?
Yeah.
They're still going to do a lot of good things. They're going to be very helpful to the team. It's just the level of complexity, foresight, how many turns ahead you need to think about, what kind of strategy you want to put in your cards. Though a lot of the brain power used on that for the easier spirits is kind of diminished. It's not that difficult, right? You just learn the base game, enjoy it, have fun. There's a river surges, there's a great spirit, and which is like a river spirit. And you just control the wetlands on the islands, and you're more powerful there than anywhere else. And mostly of what it does, but it's still very strong and powerful. And it's kind of easy to wrap your head around. You're looking at the land, and anywhere there is a wetland, like, that's where I want to be, right?
Interesting. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I like the game is beautiful. Like I said, it's very beautiful, especially with the spirits. The way the board is spread out with like the wetlands, the mountains, the sands, and then the
jungles. The last
jungles. Yeah. So you have like each of those plays certain aspects of the game where it's like where the invaders are gonna build or ravage or explore. So you have to kind of be on your toes and figuring out like where we got to go next, where we got to figure out what to do, what do we got to. We got to stop this area because it's going to blight, and if it blights, it's going to cascade. If it's already there, and it trickles down. And for those that play the game, you guys know what we're talking about. So there you guys have it. There's their spirit. A little bit of talk on Spirit Island. Again, fun game to play, and I would highly recommend it. And if you guys have played it, leave a comment below. Let us know what your experience was. What's your favorite spirit that you love playing with, and what were some ways that you were able to fend off these invaders from your island? We'd love to read those comments below. But we'll go ahead and dive into this game to see if this game is a top shelf game or it is a yard sale game. And again, let us know in the comments below if you believe that we're right with these questions or we're wrong. If this is a yard sale game or is this a top shelf game, we'd love to know your opinion as well. And to do a little bit of recap of what we're basing it off, we've developed 8 questions. And in order to be a top shelf game, it has to at least get 6 out of the 8 questions.
Okay.
If it does all 8, then it's a super top shelf game that deserves to be in the very top of your shelves. But 6 is the minimum requirements that we need for it to be a top shelf game. And again, we're going to approach these questions with the lens of we're beginner board gamers trying to figure out stuff. So we'll dive into these questions now. First question is this game an easy game to pick up and learn? It's a tough one.
You want to answer that first?
Yes. So...
How many times have you played?
I've only played the times I played with you, and then 1 extra time by myself. So I want to say at least 4 times.
4 or 5,
4 or 5 times that we've played together. And if I'm recalling back to the first time we played when you introduced it, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go with no on this one. Yeah. It's not an easy game to pick up and learn. It's a little bit high on the complexity level of learning how to play this game because there are a lot of rules you have to remember. You have to learn about the turn order, which you have to figure out. You have to a lot of iconography, I guess, to know of what's fast, what's slow, how to play, what to do on your turns, how the turn order goes based off of. Then when it's invaders' turn, if we're doing advanced, you're adding a little bit more complexity with the expansions. Fear cards, what they do, and so for me, it's going to be a no on if it's an easy game to pick up and learn from the eyes of a new board gamer.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you on that. Okay. Yeah, okay. I don't think anyone will say this is an easy game to learn from off the bat. For sure. We did talk about Horizons. There are like intro ways and also the app to dive into the game. But if you could, like probably the best way to interact with the game is play with someone who has already played. Right. Like myself, when we're playing, I kind of guide you through what the turn steps are, kind of the keywords, iconography. Right. The game does come with kind of helper cards, but you still need a reference. The first time I played, and I did play solo the first few times, I just remember flipping through the instruction manual again and again and again, reading it.
Is the booklet pretty big?
It is.
So the rule book's pretty big.
There's a lot there. It's also, in my opinion, probably not the best written. Like there's some side notes that have key rules, and if you miss that, then you have to go back. But it's still a very rewarding game. Right, the investment you have to put into learning the game will pay dividends at the end after you play for it.
So have someone that's played before teach you how to play, because you're going to be struggling. So we're going to go with no on that one. Sadly enough,
that's fair.
It's a game. Yeah, if we're looking at it, it's not a easy game to pick up, but once you learn it and start playing through it, you'll start flying through it. And that could be said for any board game. Once you start learning it, you start flying through it. Just the beginning, initial stages of getting over that complexity level of training. I don't think it's as complex as maybe Twilight Imperium.
Oh, definitely not.
Because those games, I like to. Twilight Imperium is like my standard of high complexity level game. Maybe Nemesis a little bit, but Twilight Imperium's there's so much stuff. Or even War of the Ring. War of the Ring was a lot of stuff going on when we played. Yeah. That was well, there's so much stuff going on. We're going back to the rulebook, referencing a lot of stuff. So, it's not as high as that, but it's not an easy game to pick up and learn. Yeah. So, no for that one. We'll move on. Don't worry. We still got 7 more questions. All right. Second question. Does this game have good game components? So, for me, Yes, for me, yes. But something you said earlier was that you bought the premium little like wooden tokens, right?
Yeah.
If you buy the base game, it doesn't come with that, right?
So the base game comes with wooden tokens for the spirit presents, which are those little round discs, right? Okay. And then the other tokens that are spirit related would just be like cardboard cutouts. We were using the element tokens. There's just no tokens for that. Okay, yeah. For that one. So it'd be cardboard for like the energy too as well. You know, the energy that you use to pay that. Those would be cardboard, and then fear would be cardboard, and like all those little other tokens would be cardboard tokens.
So for me, you having those wooden elements, it makes it like a good game component. But if it's like the base of just cardboard punch out, it's like, is it really good? But then like if we're looking at like now the cities and the Dahan and the invaders, I like them, but they're kind of generic, kind of little basic mods.
Yeah,
especially for the invaders, they're a little bit basic mods. So personally for me, it's a tough one. Okay. I'm leaning more towards the no.
So what would be a high quality component game?
Like how you have it. Like how you have it with the premium. So like the energy, when we're talking about energy, it's like you have these little energy tokens that you use to activate powers that you can use.
Yeah, it's like income, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so when you have like, just basic kind of punch out hole cardboards, they're okay. It have to be how the design is on those cardboard. If they're nice, then I guess that's a good game component. Again, my standard is like Nemesis components. It's like Nemesis components, where it's like you got the miniatures and they're all super detailed, and you have your people super detailed. Spirit Island, if we're playing your version with the premiums, then yes, it has great components. Yeah. But if you're playing with base, it's kind of your basic generic kind of. I don't know. You might have a different opinion.
Yeah. So there, I do have a slightly different opinion on it. Okay. So maybe I'll check my bias a little bit. But with the base game, you get a lot of plastic components, right? The explorers, the towns, and the cities, which are the main explorer components, and then the blight. Those are all plastic, the way you have it there. Oh, right. I forgot about that too. So those come in plastic tokens, and it's actually a design feature created by the designer in the game. Anything that's dealt with like invaders, corruption of the land, are plastic components. And then anything that's dealt with spirits or related to spirits are either cardboard or wood, which are like more naturally considered components. So like it's kind of part of the theme of the game is built into the design of the game. So they could have gone with like super premium tokens for the spirits and stuff, but then that would be plastic, and then it kind of deviates from the goal of what they're trying to do. They're trying to say like all these spirits are more in tune with the natural elements of the board, so they're going to be cardboard and wood. But then everything that's like alien to our island, right, that comes in as an outsider, they're plastic pieces.
Interesting. Okay. See, I never saw it that way. That's why I got to have more change my mind. In that case, it's a really good game component. But then for me, I feel like that now leads on to more like the game design of the game. Yeah. That's a different question.
Okay.
And so that'll be a different question of game design. So I'm gonna go with no for this game components. I mean, you might go yes. I haven't decided how it's like if we got to be unanimous so it can be like check marked, or if not split.
We could do a split. How about like it's a middle of the road, right?
Middle one, we can come back to that.
So now instead of 6 out of 8, now we have to get out of 7 total, right?
Yeah, 7. We can do that one. So we'll go. Eric goes yes. I go no on that one.
Okay.
But if we're playing yours, I'm going 100% yes, because you got the wood pieces. Are those premium pieces available at all or anything?
Yeah, you can buy a token pack. So it's like a premium upgrade token pack.
Oh, there you go. Then we'll go yes. That's yes. Yeah. You just got to get the token packs and you'll upgrade and you have the good components. So yeah, if we're talking about incorporating the whole company of Spirit Island with all the expansion things that you can upgrade then yeah, you have access to good game components.
Yeah, it's licensed by Greater Than Games. You can buy it from their website.
Then we're going yes. We're going yes on that one.
I've convinced you.
I thought it was just like those were like only like Kickstarter premium. So you can't find them. No. If you can buy them, then yeah, we're gonna go ahead with guys. You can go ahead and you have access to getting good game components of the game. That's by the company, by the actual. Yeah. So we'll go with yes. We'll go with.
And then today we played with the new placemat that I picked up, the little ocean background.
From what was it from John?
It's just fabric I bought online. Ocean fabric.
But it adds to the feature.
It looks really nice. I'm sure they're going to see some photos.
Yes, nice ocean view and stuff like that. All right, so we'll go. We'll segue into the third question: Does this game have good game design? Yes, I'm gonna go 100% yes. Especially even if you just have the spirits themselves. The way the board is for each of the spirits, the design of each of the spirits are unique, awesome. They have their own backstory lore, which it's another question of lore. But the design of it, especially with the tactile of the island, the way they're shaped is really nice. The design of each lands. I mean, the lands aren't something to be wild about, but I like the scheming of the jungles and how the mountains are and stuff like that. I really enjoy it, and it's very fun. It's very fun to look at and very colorful, very cool, very good game design, especially from the box. The box is really designed really well.
Yeah. My first impression of the game, the artwork was a little odd to me.
Really?
Yeah, I like it now. Okay, it grew on me, definitely. I come from like playing Magic: The Gathering, right? And those are super high-end fantasy art. The artwork, at least, especially, super high-end fantasy. A lot of shading and contrast.
Yeah, super detailed.
The artwork here is a little bit. I guess lacks a little bit of depth. Maybe not as completely.
A little more cartoonish, kind of.
Yeah, but I think that it kind of flows into better suit the design of the game, right? They're giving you space to create your own narrative when you're playing this game, because they give you like little tidbits, a few sentences of what the spirit is, where they came from, kind of like how they play.
Yeah.
But then, like you said, each spirit plays differently.
Yeah.
And then the cards you play too also have like great names, right? It's not like each.
Yeah, the cards are cool.
Yeah, they're evocative, right? Yeah. The names would say, What was one name? One of your
one I had be like the nightmares of the Dahan or something like that.
Yeah,
so I was playing like a nightmarish creature, spirit island, which was pretty cool. Like the bringer of dreams and nightmares was my spirit, which was pretty cool. There's a lot of cards have like very like catchy titles to them. So it's like one was like I think one was like the attack like the enticing of the tigers or something like that. Some
it's like a whole phrase, right?
Yeah, some like, weird intense phrase where it's like Magic the Gathering kind of where it's like I'm playing thorn bush something or whatever, something catchy. And so the design of these cards for the games, very catchy, very gets you more deeper into the lore of the game.
Exactly.
Like, you can build a story of that.
Yeah. And I encourage when I play with other people to read the name of the card when they're playing it, because there's a mechanic side of the card. Like what the card actually does and affects the board.
Right, exactly.
That's part of the puzzle of the game. But like if you say like one of my cards was Voice of Command, right? Like I'm gonna play Voice of Command on my Dahan here. It's like I'm like putting that narrative into the play and being able to kind of connect it a story in my mind. Yeah,
definitely. I dig. Yeah, so yes, definitely for sure, 100% good game design for the Spirit Island. I love it. Awesome. So we're 2 for 3.
Okay,
we're chugging along. We're chugging along. Next question is, does this game have good replayability? Yes, for sure. Especially as we mentioned earlier, the number of spirits you can play as.
Yeah,
like you can replay it and it'll be different each time based on what spirit you are, as well as adding different expansions to it. So you're adding events, scenarios, things like that. You were showing me about, scenarios of certain invaders that come, and there's even within that there's different levels you can play with those scenarios.
Right, the adversary cards.
Yeah, it's adversary. So you're adding different. You can replay again, be like, I'm gonna do level 2 now this time. See how I play out. And it stacks up, and so you're adding different variables to the game, which makes a different gameplay each time you play.
Because you pick your spirit,
right,
and then you can either play against the base invaders or add an adversary, and then or choose a level of the adversary you're playing. Right. I've played this game a lot. Maybe close to 50 times or more.
Oh, man.
A lot. And I don't believe I've ever played the same setup once.
Really?
Twice, excuse me. Yeah, because you can pick a different spirit every time, right? And the base game comes with a lot, and then like just playing once through with each one of those is already like maybe 7-10 plays.
Really?
And then you can play with pairs, right? Have 2 spirits and they interact differently, right? And then you can change the way that the adversaries putting an adversary card in at different levels. I don't think I'll ever replay a different scenario.
Not with that stack of spirits you have, man. There's no way for sure. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that this has a lot of replayability as well. It's up there with, for me, it's up there with the way Betrayal has replayability, where it's like no two game sessions are gonna be the same. Maybe the way the island is shaped and maybe the way the invaders are coming in that's the same way. But even then, when you're playing with different islands, it's like you're changing. Sorry, when you're playing with different spirits, you're changing the dynamic of each gameplay. Yeah, because each complexity level of each spirit plays differently as well.
Yeah. And even then, if you're playing the same spirit, you're during the course of the game, you're adding more power cards, but the power cards you get are going to be different every single time. Yeah. So like your spirit's going to play a little differently, even though it's the same spirit, it'll play slightly differently every time.
Definitely, I agree. Yeah. So yes, 100% replayability for this game. Next question here is: does this game have a good setup time? We joked about this at the beginning. No, it does not. There's a lot of components, like you said. When we going back to the game components, there's a lot of components for this game. Yeah. A lot of spirits you have to go through, and so it's you're gonna be. I mean, how long did it take us to set up the game when we played today?
Maybe 30 minutes.
Maybe 20, 30 minutes.
But this is me knowing where everything is and how they set up, so it went quickly.
And we chatted for a little bit going through the adversary. Yeah. So if you're a first timer, you're gonna. You made the joke of funny earlier when we were playing is that when you set up. What do you do? You set up.
Yeah. So when I want to play, I'll set up and then walk away from the game. I'll take the time to set up and then go do other things I need to do, knowing that later on in the day I'll have time to play.
Like, I gotta play.
Yeah, and then I'll go play.
So he sets up and then he goes. And then he comes back and plays afterwards. So it's like he does like an intermission after setup. So no, this game does not have a good setup time.
Okay, let me throw something at you then.
Okay. Curveball. All right.
So it's harder to set up because I have a lot. I have the full game, right?
Okay.
If you have just the base game or even Horizons, there's a little less setup time, right? Okay. So the setup time will be diminished a little bit, right? You don't have to open up all these other little bags and take out all these other tokens. Right. Like the game will be a little bit more concise. Okay. And that's what they were trying to do too with the Horizon. Yeah, bring down the setup a little bit, make it a little bit more approachable, because even with just the 4 spirits that come with that, there's a lot of replayability in there. So like you play that enough that if you get to the level where we're at, where we're playing with all these premium tokens, you're kind of okay with the setup time.
I'm all right with setting up.
Yeah, I can live with that extra time.
But how much does it diminish it by, though? Is it a significant amount enough to be like, it's okay for beginners to set up, or is it like still intimidating a little bit when it comes to the setup time?
Yeah.
I'm looking at it like if we had just the base game, man, all these tokens and all these things, like I'd be kind of scared of like, what do I do with all this stuff? Like, what's going on? Like, how do I set up? Obviously, the game... all board games are going to tell you how to set up the board and how to set up the game. It's just how much of stuff you're pulling in, how much stuff you're setting up, how much things you're doing. I think for me alone, just going through the spirits alone is just a bit of a hassle of setup time, because you have so many spirits to go through.
Yeah, I'm going to agree. It's the setup time's going to be something that you have to deal with.
Yeah. So no on that one. It's not a good setup time. If you have the patience for it, it's rewarding though. It's rewarding though at the end. Yeah. All right, next question here. Is this game decently priced, or will it break your wallet? And as I said earlier, as I said in the previous with the Betrayal one, a decently priced game you're gonna find within like I put it within the $30 to $70 range. Is decently priced, because you're not gonna find a really good board game that's like $5. Maybe you can, but those are rare. Unless they're selling at a yard sale. So like within the $30 to $70 range is good. 80, 90, 100, now you're kind of like, ooh, do I really need to buy this game? Or should I buy this game? You're kind of thinking about it. You're second glancing. For looking up the prices for this game, on Amazon, it was $71.
71, yeah.
So it's $1 over the range, but it's still doable. You were telling me that the Horizons, the beginner one, $24. You can find it on Target for $24, which is not bad, especially for the replayability you can get for that game. It's a really good, decently priced game. I want to go. I'm going with yes. Now, if we're adding expansions and other things, then we're kind of breaking the wallet a little. But if we're just thinking of base game, getting familiar with the game, figuring out how the game plays, and adjusting to it, I think it's a good, decently priced game to buy from your local board game shop or Target or wherever you can buy it from, Amazon, and. Yeah, along the line, if you save up a couple more dollars, you can buy the expansion, and you don't have to buy everything at the same time. So for me, yes, I think it's a decently priced game. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that. You know, you can get everything, and it's gonna be expensive, but it's not one of those games where you need to buy like an expansion to play in order to like make it a playable game, right? If you buy the Horizons, it's 25. I think I found it on sale when I bought mine for like $20, even 15. Yeah, you can start there. And then just start building your collection. If you choose to, if you like it and it's some game that you want to play more and see more of, then you can choose to buy the next expansion and the next one, piece by piece.
Right. So yes, we'll go with yes. This game is decently priced. You can find it.
Yeah, there's a decently priced entry level option.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so there you have options. You guys have options to play that one. Next question here is: does this game have good game lore? Yes. This game is so lore rich. With even just the spirits themselves, just reading the spirits of how they were created or what their purpose was on these islands and stuff. Like I really enjoy reading. Oh, my spirit does this. My spirit does this, and it's really good lore. And like you can also even build off of lore, especially with the cards. When you're playing cards, it's like your spirit is manifesting the darkness within the depths of the vines, and like it's like you got mad at them because they were coming at your temple in the jungle, and you decided to unleash these vines on them and things of that nature, or the ocean's wrath is coming because it's like very lore rich, it's very awesome.
Yeah, I think the term that I say a lot for it is it has emergent narrative, right?
Yeah.
So they give you little like prompts, right? That don't tell you everything about your spirit or everything about their powers.
Right.
It's enough to kind of get your imagination going, right?
And you just roll
like
with
there's a spirit, I forget its name, but it lures invaders into the jungle. Like you're the way you play or the cards that come base with the four card power cards you have when you start the spirit, like brings in invaders to your area. And then once they're there, they get trapped and you destroy it. Right? Right. So like just gives you that name, which kind of tells you the little bit of what the gameplay is going to be like. But then as you're playing the game, you can determine what your spirit does. You can choose to like not play any of those cards. You can get other cards as you're like getting your growth options and just do something entirely differently.
Interesting.
I think it's even within the rules. There's like a little tidbit at the end. Like at the end of the gameplay, if you want, you can rename your spirit because because you're given that narrative of what the spirit was or came from. But then we're playing a game, right? And your spirit's kind of gaining power and doing stuff, so maybe it changes a little bit.
Really?
Because it's your spirit in our game. Yeah.
Oh.
So let's think about the game we played right now, right? Okay. You were the nightmare spirit, right? You're sending at the beginning of the game, you're just sending nightmares everywhere. But then towards the end of the game, you had this really cool power card that let you bring back broken presence onto the board and defend. Like you started to like bring back memories to defend in a land.
Interesting.
Yeah, so like how does that connect to like a nightmare spirit, like changing it into like
that could be the spirit of the vengeful memories.
Something like that, right?
Of past nightmares.
And that could be the new name of the spirit. So like the game does a great job with creating like each card having those prompts.
Yeah.
And
each
spirit having those prompts so that when you're done and you're like sitting in like either the victory or defeat of the game, you can just like imagine.
Broken spirit,
Yeah, like what is your spirit? Like
what
is your spirit's new name,
cool.
right?
I did not know that.
How did they change over the course of this interaction?
Pretty much I became Freddy Krueger though.
I
became Freddy Krueger. My spirit became Freddy Krueger because I was just nightmare in front of everybody. I just got so afraid of my island. And even my own inhabitants wanted to be with me.
Exactly, yeah. I had to help them. Yeah, so I was playing Thunder Speaker, which is a spirit that motivates the natives of the land who are called the Han. Normally they kind of do their own thing and interact a little bit with spirits, but my spirit kind of directs them. Like I kind of take control of them a little bit or motivate them a little bit. So I had to run them out of your lands a few times because you were giving them too many nightmares.
You know what? I just get happy.
They weren't doing what they needed to do.
Exactly. You're like, oh, you're not worshiping me enough? All right, let me send you some nightmares your way.
We ended up winning though at the end.
Barely.
Very close game.
Yeah. We played before we started recording, and it was a very close game, but we won by fear. So I was able to spread a lot of fear. Went fear-centric on that. So yes, this game does have good game lore, and we built the lore. I like when we play because we just build the storyline.
This is my topic is my favorite part of the game, right? Because especially when we play together, because it's like improv, right? You know, exactly, you kind of you play cards and then you just kind of like bounce ideas off of each other and build a narrative that the game's helping show.
And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of board games is when you have that freedom and like they give you enough materials to build off just the lore of like create your own imagination. Your imagination run wild when you're playing board games. And I love that. I love those storytelling type of games where it's like lore. That's why I like Betrayal, because it's like building that world of like, you know, what happened in this event. Oh, there's spider webs. What happened? You know, you can build this picture of, you're building like a movie kind of like set in your mind. And I like, Spirit Island, it's like you're building this like this world of like, you know, you have history here of this island of many years have been passed since you've been, you know, your spirit has walked the islands, and all of a sudden invaders come and chaos strikes now, you know. So it's like, I like those type of board games like that, and that's why I think that's where you thrive a lot with that stuff, and you make the game enjoyable with that stuff like that. So it's really good one, and it makes sense why Spirit Island would be your top one.
Yeah,
like very super lore one, and yes, this game does have good game lore. So we're very good here. We are we've missed 2.
Yeah,
so
2.5 maybe. I think 2 was
2.5. So we have one last question here. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has to answer this last question to make it a top shelf game or a yard sale game. And that last question is: does this game have good pacing, good turn time, good gameplay? The pacing, that's a tough one.
Yeah. So okay, the way the game plays, for people who aren't familiar,
right?
It's a simultaneous cooperative play game. Mm-hmm. So everyone who plays their spirit, you're all going to do at the same time. You're all deciding what you're going to do. And there's so much to do.
There is. Yeah.
That you're just focus on kind of your own spirit and look at your board and see how you can interact. It can, for those who are unfamiliar or playing like a really high complex spirit, it can get a little hard to kind of figure out what you want to do on your turn. Yeah. Right.
If you're playing with someone that knows what they're doing, you can kind of like be a little bit of like the quarterback of the team to begin with. Yeah. Just to kind of guide them through the turn order. I don't think the turn order is like so slow where like I think of like if this game's super slow that like if I'm waiting on you, I'm gonna just whip out my phone, just be on my phone, wait.
Oh yeah, you can't do that.
You can't do that. Yeah, this game you have to think. Everyone's going at the same time. We're doing things stuff like that. So I think the pacing is there. It's good. I think it slows down a little bit once we're done, it's now the invaders' turn. So now we have to see what happens next, see what's going on, placing tokens down. So it slows down a little bit, but not too much to the point where it's like, now we're just waiting. It's like, I think the turn order is pretty quick. Yeah. You do your cards, play your cards, especially if you have fast cards. Play those cards, do the effects, do what's happening. Invaders have their turn, they do their thing, and then we just repeat the cycle again, over again. So it's like not that hard where it's like, then you do this, and then you have to do this, and then within that you have to do this, and like it's just like play your cards, see what happens, see what trickles down. I think you slow down when like stuff starts to like explode, where it like starts cascading, or start losing land, or we start building stuff. It slows down a little bit, but I think not too drastically enough.
Yeah, you're not going to be. There's some other games where like you have to wait for someone to complete their whole turn before you can start your turn. It's not like that for this game. No, everyone's deciding what they're going to do at the same time. Then there's so much for you to decide that you're thinking. Then you figure out. Okay, I'm ready to play my cards. Yeah, and everyone else is probably close to get that point already too. You know, they're already ready to play their cards.
No, yeah, I agree. So I think it's good. I think I'm going to go with yes for this one because it's not like turns where you're waiting, like you said, you're waiting on someone else, and you're just sitting there like, all right, well, I chose my cards, and I have to wait for you to finish your thing. It's like, if I'm waiting to play my cards, or if I'm waiting for you to play your cards, I already set my cards, I'm ready to go. I'm thinking of like, okay, so now if I did this, where you're thinking of like ahead, or like
what is the invader gonna do next? So what does that mean for that next turn?
You're looking at the invader board, seeing like, okay, they're gonna invade this. You're waiting. You're still calculating. You're not just sitting there waiting, like on your phone, checking, the time or whatever, your Instagram, whatever's going on. I think for me, it is good gameplay. Good gameplay. I love the gameplay. It's very, very good. Again, complexity level is a little high up there, but the gameplay plays out really well. It's very smooth. I don't think it's a game where it's like full of loopholes. Where like, the rules don't specify where if we do this, like there's maybe one or two, but it's pretty well knit together that like it has a good flow on it. And the pacing, I think, it's a really good pacing. It's not super fast end like some party games where it's like super fast, but it's not super slow end where you're waiting on turns. It's
a puzzle game, really, if you think about it, right? So everyone's sitting down kind of puzzle, like what's the what's my best options this turn, and then we will talk like I can influence this area of the land, I can get rid of that town, that city, but I need help with this, and then we can determine, okay, I can help you with that if I do this, or play this card or play that card. So there's not a lot of points where you're just disinterested, like distracted. You're always, even if you're not doing something, you're thinking about what you're going to play next, what you're going to do next.
Yeah, I'll give it a go for a thumbs up on that one. It's good gameplay. Yeah, it's not slow, but it's not super quick. But it's like a good medium.
Yeah, I would agree. I think another game that's really close to kind of this is Pandemic. Like Pandemic is like a very similar style game. Where everyone plays their actions. And then
working against the board.
And then the board does their thing. But this one just kind of like a higher level of complexity. And I think a more fun theme and way of playing.
Yeah, no, I agree with it. I agree with that. And yeah, good gameplay. And with that, that's all 8 questions here, guys. And so we've answered all 8 questions. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of the 8.
Was that but that number 2 was a half. So that was a split.
So it's like.
So I gave it a 6 out of 8. I think maybe you were at 5.
5 out of 8. But I'm changing my mind on stance on that because like you can buy the components now.
Okay.
So if you weren't able to buy those components and like you just had the cardboards, then that'd be a no for me.
Okay.
But the fact that you have access to those components, I'm going to give it a thumbs up with that one as well. Some of you guys might disagree with me on that. Let me know in the comments below. But so far with this questionnaire here, we've answered 6 out of the 8 questions, making this a top shelf board game.
All right.
Awesome. So it's going to be on the top shelves of your guys' shelfies. I've had it for a while. You let me borrow it for a while, and I've had it on top of the shelf so everyone can see what that game is. Fun game, guys. I recommend trying it out. Even if the complexity level might scare you a little bit, try it out with a friend that's played it before, or message me. I'd love to play with you guys. I'd love to try it out. I know Erik would love to play.
Yeah, I'm open to play.
He's always open. I'm always open
to teach and to play.
Yeah, exactly. So let us know. You can find us on Instagram. Again, we gave all our socials at the beginning. We're on everything: X, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. But yeah, top shelf game. If you guys agree, let us know in the comments. If you disagree, let us know in the comments as well. And if you guys have another suggestion for a board game we'd like to dive deep into, if it's a yard sale or top shelf game. But yeah, that will do it here for that one, guys. There you had it here. Heard it here first. Top shelf game. Especially with the expansions and stuff like that. You have so much replayability. It's a fun game to dive yourself deep into the lore of. And you'll just enjoy your spirit. You get attached to your spirit. You get who you choose, and you get this is my spirit. And, I'm getting mad because these guys do not. I get attached to my spirits, whoever I choose. It's such a fun game. Great game. Kelly agrees. She likes playing these types of games here. Thank you, Kelly. And stuff. Erik, thank you so much for joining us here on the podcast. It was so much fun. Is there anything you can plug that they can find you? I know you have an Instagram for painting miniatures.
I do. I paint miniatures. I painted a few for you as well.
Yes, you do a great job. Awesome. He does an awesome job painting those miniatures. Yeah, and you have an Instagram page.
It's Nox Brew.
Nox Brew.
NOXBREW, and it's on Instagram.
All right, I'll add the link on there for you so you can come get you some more followers. Check out his paintings. They're really cool. They're really good. You did my Nemesis paintings, and they were so awesome. They're awesome, great. And whenever we do a top shelf game for Nemesis, I'll show them. You're doing our Lord of the Rings one as well. That one's so much fun. You did your zombie side one, which is awesome. It's so cool. So check out his posts and stuff like that. They're really awesome. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys want to ask us a question, again, you can find us on all socials. You can find us on our email. Go ahead, send us your questions. We'll answer your questions for the next pod. Erik, thank you so much for joining us. It was so much fun talking and playing Spirit Island. So much fun.
You're welcome.
Looking forward to playing again.
Yeah, we got to play one more time.
One more time. We're going to play multiple times. I got to go through all those spirits.
Yeah.
My life goal, and I probably will never reach it, but is to try every single spirit.
Oh my goodness.
So we're gonna do this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support the channel. I love seeing those numbers go up. It means so much to me, and the support that we're getting from the board game community and the pop culture community and the video game community. It's so much fun interacting with you guys. So again, thank you guys so much for watching. Nos vemos para la próxima.